So let us understand more about the JDBC, managing database transactions. Now JDBC API provides support for transaction management. The database transactions can be committed in two ways in the JDBC application. So there is an implicit and explicit. If we talk about the implicit, the connection object uses the auto commit mode to execute the SQL statement implicitly. So you need not to write commit here, automatically happening. So there's another is the explicit transactions. The auto commit mode is set to false to commit the transaction statement explicitly. So once you are setting cont.set auto commit false, then you have write cont.commit, then only changes will happen. Okay. Now next, committing a transactions. So we are having two things, commit, rollback, and commit will, or we can say it will use to reflect the changes made by the transaction in a database. Rollback will cancel the changes made in the database after the last commit operation, so it will undo. So if you are setting your transaction explicit, manually you have to say commit and rollback, then only any changes will take place. Okay. Now there's a batch. What is a batch? Is a group of updated statements that are sent to database to be executed as a single unit. So let us say I want to insert 10 records at a time. So what you can do, you have to send this 10 statement as a batch, and then it will execute as a single unit there. So reduces network costs between the application and the database, is a more efficient ways as compared to the processing of single SQL statement. Now performing batch updates. So implementing batch updates in JDBC, the statement or prepare statement interface provides the following methods to create and execute batch of SQL statement. So we are having a method like add batch and execute batch, clear batch. So add batch will keep adding the statement to a batch. Execute batch will finally execute the statement, and clear batch removes the SQL statement from the batch. Now when a statement object is created to perform batch updates, an empty array is associated with the object. So multiple SQL statements can be added to the empty array to execute them as a batch. And you also need to disable the auto commit mode using set auto commit false, then only you can go for that, and then you can say execute batch. So the update count is the total number of rows affected when a SQL statement in a batch is processed. Let us say you are inserting 10, so that will be 10 rows will be affected here. If you can see this code here, first we are doing what, we are set auto commit false here. First we are setting auto commit false. So then we are creating a statement, and then we are saying statement dot add batch, right? And finally we can say statement dot execute batch. Okay. So it is returning the updated count, and we can iterate this array and we can display it. So let us say 2 records is getting updated here, right? Inserted in a table product. Exception handling and batch updates. So you don't forget to handle exception, this SQL exception and batch update exception. The batch update exception class is derived from the SQL exceptions here. So SQL exception is thrown by the JDBC API methods add batch or execute batch when problem occurs while accessing a database. The batch update exception is thrown when the SQL statement in the batch cannot be executed due to presence of illegal arguments in the SQL statement, right? So absence of the database table from which you need to retrieve data. So batch update exception Uses an array of the update cont to identify the SQL statement that throws the exceptions. Now next we have to understand some more stuff, like we are having callable statement. So if we want to fire the or call the store procedure, we need a callable statement. So for that purpose we are having, so callable statement is derived from the prepare statement. So you can refer by prepare statement also. Creating a store procedure. So as we know, there's a create procedure statement for creating a procedure in SQL Server. It could be the parameterized or non-parameterized, because procedure takes three arguments, and that is the type of the argument, that is the in, out, in, out. So in means it will just help you to read, out means it will help you to write, in, out means it is the combine, it can work as a read or write also. So we'll see in the procedure, if you know, to create procedure you might have used these three arguments and type of the arguments, right? Now if you call the prepare call method, in that you can pass the argument here. So it could be the string, and you can pass just a string, like you can say here call procedure name. Say you have a procedure name p1, so you can say call p1, it will call the p1. But if you need to pass some argument, then you can use some methods here to pass the arguments here. So there are a number of constructor we are having for the prepare call, sorry, this method, number of overloaded methods: prepare call, string str, int reset type, and int reset type reset concurrency. Okay, and calling a store procedure, you have to write a call, and parameters you have to pass what are the parameters they are looking for. And okay, so if you can look at here, we are just having what here, like call procedure name question mark. So we are passing the parameterize here, and then you have to do what, call statement object dot set int value. So that value will go to here, right? Whatever you set to here. So the placeholder are used to represent the in out in out parameter of a store procedure in the procedure call. If it is more arguments, you have to write this set int, set string, something like whatever the type of the arguments you are having. Okay. Now, if the store procedure contains out and in out parameters, these parameters should be registered with the corresponding JDBC type. Okay. So there's a register out method is used to register the parameter. So you can call this register out method with index, or you can pass this two integer value or three integer value, that will help you to register the parameters. Now metadata is the information about data, such as the structure and properties of table. The metadata of the employee table includes following information: name of the column, data type of each column, constraint to enter, all we can retrieve. So for all these sakes, I have result set metadata, which will help you to retrieve all this stuff whatever it is listed here. Now there's another metadata we are having, database metadata, which will help you to retrieve the information about database. Okay. Now using database metadata interface, The database metadata interface provides the method that enable you to determine the properties of database or RDBMS. So what we have to do here, let us say you are having connection con object and then say get metadata, and that will return to database metadata object. And then you can do dm dot some method is there, you have to call the methods dm dot get driver versions, so it will give you the driver versions of the, and get drivers name, get connections, sorry, and get columns also for that particular catalog and table name, and you can pass it here. You can also check whether the server is supporting the save point or not, whether it is supporting the procedure or not. Get URL is read only. You can call these methods and get to know about the database property. Next is what? Result set metadata. Now result set metadata interface contains various methods that enable you to retrieve information about the data in a result set. So let us say I have result set object rs, and then we are saying rs dot get metadata. What this guy will do? It will retrieve the metadata of your result set and it will return to here. Now with the help of this guy, what we can do, we can retrieve the column name of the table, how many columns, what are the data types, what are the uh, column type, all we can get it here. So if you can see these methods we are having, get column type, uh, get column name, get column label, right, get column cont. Now get table name, it will give the table name, but in some cases, like if you are working with Oracle, it will not expose the table name to you. So in that case, nothing will come. Is auto increment, so it will return true or false whether auto increment is there. Is case sensitive, so it will return all these things. Now is read only, so your result set is read only, we can check it out, is writable or not. So these methods help a lot to work with the